with you. Outside, the snow is falling and friends are going. Come on, it's lovely weather, it's
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Football United TV. I'm joined by two special guests, one from Mighty Blues Fans TV, Cam, and Egal from EGTV. How are you guys both doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. All good.
As good as I can be, I guess.
Yeah, it's a difficult, and commiserations, Egal, from yesterday's result. Let's look at it then. Everton versus Arsenal 2-1. Cam, how did you feel about Everton in that game? And look, two wins in a row as well. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of confidence going into the game. Obviously, you know, we were on a pretty bad run of form prior to the game against Chelsea, and it almost felt like when we were going to leave this bad run of form, and then it was all set up for a perfect fairy tale night last Saturday. You know, 2,000 fans back at Goodison Park. It was just over a year on from when Duncan Ferguson took over and beat Chelsea at Goodison. The fans were behind the players. It sounded like there was about 40,000 in the stadium, never mind 2,000, and we got a really, really important win in that game. And I think the most important thing about that was in the games prior, we were playing a 5 at the back formation with 3 centre halves, and everybody just seemed disorganised. Nobody really knew what they needed to do. Nobody knew their roles. And Fabian Delph went off injured in the game against Burnley, and we reverted back to a straight back 4, and we played better in that game. So going into the Chelsea game, continue with a straight back 4, Godfrey left back, obviously a natural centre half, Holgate right back, a natural centre half, and we just defended fantastically. Went up the other end, took advantage of winning a penalty, scored it, and won the game. We then sort of adopted the same strategy going into the Leicester game, beat them, and then coming into this game yesterday, I think it was a little bit different because Arsenal obviously are void of confidence, haven't been in great form, aren't really a team that are going to have 90% possession and run at you constantly. So they set up with a 5 at the back, and they almost set up to defend. So we were the team that had to go and break them down, and we were sort of the attacking threat, which was great at the start of the season when we had James Rodriguez creating 4 or 5 chances a game and Luca Dean throwing balls into the box. But obviously those two players were unavailable. So it was a little bit more difficult yesterday because we were sort of the team on the front foot. But again, it was another great performance for me. Defensively, so solid, conceding a penalty, which was a silly penalty to give away. But I think we were deserving to the win, and it's great at the moment. Look, we finished yesterday second in the Premier League, with 4th now because of the way results have gone. But top 4 by Christmas, take that all day.
Listen, first thing first, it's not a normal season. So at this point of the season, we wouldn't usually be at Christmas. You understand that we would usually be like beginning of December probably right now. Yeah. So it's not really 15 games in yet. But at the same time, big up to Everton, big up to Ancelotti. He's come in the same time as Arteta, and you've seen that he's been able to stamp his authority on the pitch, and he's been able to get the transfers in that he wants to get in. Now, I can't say the same thing over here at Arsenal. It doesn't look like Arteta has been able to get the players that he wanted to get in the January window. I mean, in the summer window, it looks like we're going to need to do some massive moves in the toughest window possible in January. We're going through absolute horrendous time. Like, I feel like roles are reversed for what's going on at Arsenal and what's going on at Everton. Like, usually we would be the ones at the top of the table trying to fight for top 4, and Everton would be the ones just over the past 5 years at least, like near the bottom of the table or fighting in between mid-table. And that's where we are right now. Arsenal, we're on a bad run of form. We've picked up 2 points from our last 6 games. No, actually 2 points, 1 point from our last 6 games. Only the Southampton game. We've lost it or every other game between that. And it's just been like horrendous. I can't say anything good about what's going on at Arsenal right now. The only positive, maybe, that we didn't get a red card against Everton. That's one thing, because we got 2 games on the bounce where we got red cards. Our disciplinary record under Arteta has been horrendous. And I could be here all day saying all the negative things, and I could be bereft of any positives. But I just want to give a big up to Everton. They've done well. They've been investing properly, and they came out of a bad run of form, and we hit them at the worst possible time. Manchester United faced them at the best time. We faced them at the worst because they just came off this good run of form, and we're on such a rut that I can't see us winning another game until the end of 2020. That's how bad we are right now.
Would you agree with that, Cam? Do you think that Arsenal were off against you? Do you think they could have done a little bit better, or do you think just Everton were dominating because they know exactly what to do against big teams like Arsenal and the way you dealt with Chelsea last week. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. I think I do think it'd be silly of me to sit in and say, "Oh no, Arsenal weren't coming into this game on a bad run of form." Arsenal have been on an awful run of form, and the players seem void of confidence. Egal made a brilliant point there about discipline. There doesn't seem to be much discipline there. I mean, they could have had another sending off yesterday, arguably with the Dani Ceballos stamp, which I think was 50-50. In other games, it might be given. Don't get me wrong. I think we've been very good recently in terms of defending, and obviously come up against two of the best attacking sides in the league, Leicester and Chelsea, and managed to keep clean sheets in those games. But I think it definitely had an impact on the game in terms of Arsenal's bad run of form. But usually it's so refreshing from an Everton fan's point of view, because usually Everton are the team that sides that are on a bad run of form come to Goodison Park or play Everton, and they usually win, and that leads them into a good run of form. And we always seem to be that team. Look at Manchester United a couple of weeks back. We always seem to be that team where sides go, "Oh, we were playing awfully, then we played Everton, and then it sort of got a little bit better." So it was difficult for us, because notoriously we are the team that if you're playing poorly, you come to Goodison and you beat. We play Sheffield United on Boxing Day, who haven't won a game this season, and some of our fans are still thinking, let's keep it calm a little bit, because again, that's got everything lined up for them to win. But I think under Carlo Ancelotti, there's been a massive mentality change. That doesn't seem to be happening anymore. We don't seem to be going into games thinking, "Oh, these haven't won a game this season," or "These are on a bad run of form. What happens if they beat us?" We're just going into games focused on ourselves, doing what we need to do. And Carlo come out. I don't know if either of you heard it. I know, if I was in Egal's position, the last thing I'd be wanting to do is listen to the opposition manager talking after a win. But Carlo Ancelotti come out yesterday and he said, "Look, it's about spirit." He said that having quality in your team isn't enough. You can't just have quality. You need to have spirit. You need to be able to fight. You need to be able to dig deep. And I think that's what Everton have done really, really well. And I suppose a lot of the stuff around Mikel Arteta, is based on that. Can he build this team? Can he build this spirit? Can he build the confidence back up? It's brilliant being when you're managing a football club and you're winning every week. It's great because the players are full of confidence. They're going out, they're playing brilliantly. It's brilliant. Look at Arteta towards the end of last season, won an FA Cup, beat Chelsea, beat Liverpool in the Community Shield, beat Manchester City in a final. I don't necessarily think Arteta's the worst tactician in the world, but it's, for me, the top managers prove their worth when their teams are in bad form and how they get those teams out of that bad run of form. And I just don't know if Mikel Arteta can motivate these players to get out of that run.
You said something there, mentality. Now, you watch that game fully. You can see that Everton did not create better chances than us. You guys had a better mentality than us. You did not see us actually pressure you until the final 90 minutes was up and we were in the 5 minutes of extra time. Did you feel any pressure through Cam watching that game, the whole entire game until the last 90 minutes? Did you feel at any point we would get an equalizer?
No, I think, to be honest, obviously I'm not a neutral, so I was just watching Everton's point of view, but I thought, again, I agree. I think Arsenal were disappointing going forward. I think that the decision was made poorly by Arteta. I don't know why Alexander Lacazette wasn't in the starting 11. I know he mightn't have been on brilliant form, but a player like him, I watched the highlights to the game against Southampton, the draw a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, sorry, and Lacazette had a couple of chances that on another day he scores. Now, you could say, he's on a bad run of form and he's not playing well. That's all well and good, but if you're having 2 or 3 chances like that, one of them's going to go in. And I think he should have absolutely been in the starting 11. Martinelli, another player who, as soon as he come on, I thought, he's a good player and we have to watch him. He is a good player. But in terms of pressure, no, I think you're right. I think, again, roles were a little bit reversed for Everton, because in the game against Leicester and Chelsea, we were on the back foot. They had 70-80% possession. They were throwing balls at us. We were defending and hitting them on the counter-attack. Whereas in this game, you started with the 5 at the back formation, and we were almost the team that were like, right, we've got to attack these now. We've got to run at these. We've got to go at these. But, other than a couple of half chances, you're right. I don't think there was much pressure until that last sort of 5-minute spell where, again, you see it notoriously with sides as soon as it gets to the last few minutes. I've seen it many times with Everton. It's like, yeah, right, we need to get something out of this game, and you're just scratching your head thinking, why haven't you done that for the last hour? Why haven't you done that for the last 70 minutes? But again, like you said, I think that's a mentality thing. Why can't Mikel Arteta get those players to do that?
It's not only a mentality thing. My team is so bad right now that I look at the first time in like a long time, I can look at an Everton team and I say, if we did a combined 11 right now, let's be honest, your whole front 3 gets in over my front 3. Your midfield, every single player in your midfield gets in, except for maybe Pate could possibly walk into your midfield. That's the only person in our team that would walk into your midfield. Defensively, maybe Gabriel would get in over Mina. Tierney maybe over Luka Dean, but you might dispute that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then right back position, pick a name out of the hat. I don't think either of our right backs are any good. And then Leno and Pickford are both known for making big mistakes. Of course, I would pick Leno. I'm not sure if you'd pick Pickford, but I just did a quick combined 11 right there, and I gave you, I think, 8 players.
Yeah.
That to me shows you the level of quality we have at Arsenal. If only 8 of my players can get into a combined 11 with Everton, and that's just me doing it off the top of my head. Just goes to show you, it's not only a mentality thing. Everton's level of quality they have in their team now is on par with Arsenal, and maybe even has surpassed us to a certain level, because you guys not only have the manager to back it, but the players are up for it. You have Calvin Lewin, who would walk into our Arsenal team and make a difference. You have guys in your midfield like the core. Arsenal fans have been squeezing and begging for us to get him for years. We've been twerking for him for decades, and we never got the guy. And you guys get him in one window just like that. It just goes to show, when you have intent and you want to win or you want to have something, I'm more worried that Arsenal will never get to the level that you guys are at right now. Again, with the ownership we have, because one thing that has changed at Everton, the ownership have been showing more ambition than Arsenal, and to me that's the difference between the two clubs. Let alone the owner, let alone the manager. It's the owner's ambition.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
Would you say Iwobi had a really good game? I know he was an ex-Arsenal player, and he seemed to play very well against Arsenal yesterday. Would you agree with that, Cam? You think he had a good game?
What we're seeing from Alex Iwobi recently, we saw it yesterday, we've saw it the last couple of games, is that it's sort of the same with Gylfi Sigurdsson, is they're trying their absolute hardest. They're giving it 110%. They're fighting, they're working. I like Alex Iwobi. I think he's still got a lot to improve on, but I like him. I think he's got a good attitude. He's quick. He's very strong. He's direct as well. He knows when he needs to come inside. He knows when he can go on the outside. Does he need to improve his final ball? Of course he does. His crossing yesterday at times was great. Our first goal, brilliant cross into the box. Other times, it's not so great. And that's what we've seen over the last couple of games, is if you were to look at his quality, you'd say, right, he needs to improve on that. The ball in the final third, he needs to improve. But his effort, his work rate, his mentality, his fight, even defensively, he's getting back, he's helping out. And like I said, he's a big, strong lad, Alex Iwobi. He'll break forward. He'll outmuscle a lot of players in the Premier League, and he'll also outpace them. It's just that final ball that's a little bit frustrating, but not that you don't necessarily mind it, because we know he needs to improve on that, but you can excuse it when the team's winning and he's working so hard. And it's, for me, it's sort of a bit similar with Gylfi Sigurdsson. Is Gylfi Sigurdsson 6 or 7 weeks ago didn't look like he wanted the ball. He was standing off it, he was pointing, he didn't want to be anywhere near it, didn't want to throw a challenge in, didn't want to get involved. Last 3 games or so, okay, he scored a penalty against Chelsea, and he's been involved here and there, got the assist for Mina's goal. But the one thing that I think every Evertonian has been most impressed with is he's now wanting the ball. He's wanting to throw challenges in. He's wanting to get involved. He's wanting to give and go. He's wanting to create. He wants to be there on the pitch. And that's what you need from the players. That I always say as an Evertonian, the bare minimum I expect is 110% from every single player that puts an Everton shirt on. I don't want you leaving Goodison Park or any away ground for that matter thinking, I could do another half an hour there. I want you leaving with every single bit of your energy, stamina, everything you've got left on that pitch, because that shows that you've given it 110%. Yeah, sometimes you won't win games, but if you give it 110% and you don't win, then you've lost because of the quality of the other team, or because the other team might have got lucky. And that's what we've lacked, I think, for, again, years and years. And that's sort of what Ancelotti's come in and done, is he's made sure that those players give it 110% every single week. And again, that's what we've seen over the last 3 games.
Cam, what about the situation with Iwobi? This is what would happen with Iwobi at Arsenal. He would do everything, get past 3 people, do everything. Final ball, can't deliver it. Then he'll get past everyone again. He'll be in the box. He hesitates. Instead of taking the shot, he fluffs his line and misses, or it goes wide. And it's just, end product with Iwobi has never been great. His end product has always let him down, especially at Arsenal. And you know what? We've seen it week in, week out. Iwobi would do so many things. There's even an epic moment in a meme that they did. Why he always do this? Why? It was Aubameyang and Lacazette rewatching the game and saying, Iwobi. It looks like he's gonna score 1-on-1 against the keeper. Somehow doesn't even score or doesn't even shoot. He lets his man catch up. So Iwobi will frustrate you. But one thing you have to know about Arsenal players, once they leave Arsenal, look at Luke Ayling at Leeds. Look at Theo Walcott the other day. When these guys leave Arsenal and they play, they go to another Premier League team, whenever they face us, they turn into prime Ronaldo or something. They just go crazy. And Iwobi had a hand to play with the opening goal. And it's just poetic justice. Theo Walcott, the day before, just scored a goal against us. And he celebrated. So it's like, I'm not surprised that these guys go on and do well for themselves, because I feel like the springboard at Arsenal for anyone to do well is not good. Ever since Arsene Wenger left, it's been chaotic. You guys know how many people have been in and out of a job within the executive ranks at Arsenal. We've had over 8 people just come into a job and then be gone within a year's time. We've had 3 chiefs of staffs. We've had 2 CEOs, in Ivan Gazidis and Don Raul. Don Raul, by the way, who was stealing money from the club and taking money from the transfers. Like, we have a mess, and it's gone to the point where people are actually considering the fact that we could get relegated. I know you never believed it the year that you guys got Sam Allardyce, but
yeah.
What does it feel like? I don't know what this feels like. I've never done this before, but like, you've been there once or maybe twice. I don't know exactly how many times you've been there, but at what point are you in a relegation dogfight and you have to actually accept it?
It's an interesting question. It is, and it's difficult. I think you made a fantastic point there, is that what you are seeing on the pitch at Arsenal now is just basically what's going on throughout the entire club, but it's in its finest form and you're watching it week in, week out. This isn't a club that's ran well. It's a club whose fans, yourself, and pretty much every other Arsenal fan you'll talk to have been wanting rid of the owners for years and years. Even when Wenger was there, fans were saying, yes, Arsene Wenger is one problem, but these owners are a completely different issue. They are an issue. And in all business, whether it be football clubs, whether it be IT, companies, whether it be technology company, whatever it may be, things that happen at the top fall down, and they fall down the ladder and they fall to the bottom. And what you're seeing on the pitch is misorganisation. It's players who've got no discipline, players who aren't willing to show much fight, don't really want to dig deep. That's what you're seeing throughout the entire football club. And you can chop and change a manager, of course. And I'm not saying Arteta is the right man for the job, and I'm not saying that he should stay, but you can change a manager constantly. You'll sell players, you'll bring players in. If those people at the top are still making those awful decisions and still don't know how to run a football club, you're going to be in the same situation no matter who the manager is, no matter who the players on the pitch are. You made a brilliant point about Ancelotti. Ancelotti's come in and he's had a couple of interviews recently, and he said, when I first come in and spoke to Farhad Moshiri, who was previously at Arsenal, I promised them that I'll get Everton to where they can be. I'll get them fighting for leagues. I'll get them fighting for Champions Leagues. I'll get them there. Now Carlo's come in, and Carlo Ancelotti is a manager who, in his previous jobs, obviously we all know his CV. We all know what he's achieved. He's one of the best, if not the most coveted manager in football history. And I'll say that because that's my opinion, but he's certainly up there. What he's
top 3 in the Premier League with
exactly. But what he's done in previous clubs is he stayed a couple of years and he's been open and saying, I'll do a few years, then I'll leave because I want to go elsewhere. Carlo Ancelotti's had an interview within the last week or so, and he said, I'd happily have Everton as my last job. I love it here. I'd happily stay. I want to stay past my contract, which expires in 2024. I want to be here going into the new stadium. I want to be here for years and years to come. I love where I live. I love the club. It's a family club. Get on with the owners. And our owners have shown that ambition. We sacked Marco Silva round about this time last year, about a few weeks into December last year, and we sacked Marco Silva in a point where I thought Everton were in a relegation battle. We'd lost to Norwich City. The thing is with Everton under Marco Silva is we were losing to the sides at the top, which you thought, okay, we're not good enough, we're losing to them. But we also lost to Sheffield United, who were newly promoted. We lost to Aston Villa at the start of the season, who hadn't won a game at that point. We lost to Norwich, and when we lost to Norwich at Goodison Park, I remember sitting there thinking, Marco Silva can't motivate these players. Marco Silva can't get anything out of these players whatsoever. And if we can't beat the sides that will be fighting relegation, I knew at that point Norwich City won't be a Premier League team this season because they were one of those teams that you knew would bounce up and down. They beat us at Goodison Park. They wiped the floor with us, and I knew at that point we could be in serious shit here. I wasn't 100% convinced we'd go down, but I thought we're in dangerous territory here because we've got no motivation to beat anybody at the moment. And we won't beat anybody because teams will look at that. Teams that were in a relegation fight at that time we'll go to Goodison, we'll walk it out, we'll steamroll them because they'll have wanted it more than us. We sacked Marco Silva, Duncan Ferguson come in, done brilliantly in his few games as caretaker manager. And Farhad Moshiri, our owner, went out and went, I want Carlo Ancelotti. He just left his role at Napoli, being sacked, whatever you want to call it. I think he was officially sacked, but he was doing brilliantly. So I think there was a bit of a gentleman's agreement there. He left his role at Napoli. He was there, he was available. And our owner went out and went, I want him. He's the best man available. He's the best man for the job. He's the man I want to take this club forward. We went, and everybody, you'll remember yourselves, the media at that point, Ancelotti won't go to Everton. Why would he go there? Why would Ancelotti probably doesn't even know who Everton is. Fast forward a few weeks later, Boxing Day, you announce Arteta. 20 minutes later, we announce Ancelotti. He's in the stands. Couple of games after that, we beat Burnley in a very tough game, a team that just defend for 90 minutes. We then 2-0 down against Watford. Everton, by the way, prior to Carlo Ancelotti, here's a stat for you. We didn't win one game under Marco Silva when we went behind. If we conceded in the first minute, we weren't winning that game. We didn't win one Premier League game under Marco Silva in 18 months or whatever it was when we went behind 1-0. Go 2-0 down against Watford, win the game. Again, that mentality of get up and go again. You're not defeated, you get up and you go. And sometimes that's what having a world-class manager brings to your club, that mentality, that winning mentality. But that world-class managers come to the club because the owners have given him faith. And people will say, oh, well, he's getting millions a year. Obviously, he's going to come in. But Ancelotti doesn't need the money. He said that when he first come in. He's won everything. He's got best-selling books. He's been in everything. He doesn't need the money. He could have looked at Everton and gone, nah. And Everton were in a bad situation. Obviously, we'd had a couple of games on Duncan Ferguson, which were great. But genuinely, we were in a bad situation at that point. He could have looked at Everton and gone, I don't need to go there and potentially ruin my... I don't want to say ruin his sort of career or his... Yeah, I don't want to say that because I don't think he would have even if he wasn't successful at Everton, which of course he still, that still could happen because we're only a year in.
You would probably ruin it if you came to Arsenal.
Well, that's what I mean. But he looked at Everton and he went, I don't need the money, but I believe in the project. I believe in the club. I believe in where they want to be. So I'll go there. And he's come 12 months later, sitting in the top four. Yes, we've had a bad run of form this season, but again, we've come out of it.
Do you think top four is a realistic target for you, or do you feel like just one step at a time, just go Europa League first, hopefully, and then, or do you think top four is a target for you guys this year? Because I don't think title is a target, obviously, but top four is realistic.
It's a mad one because at the start of the season, I'd have said top six, I'll take. Top six comfortably, I'll take. And I do. It's one game at a time. We lost to a Leeds team who have just conceded 6 today and who are absolutely woeful defensively. We couldn't beat Burnley, who were in shocking form. We lost to Manchester United, who were really poor at that time. So it is one step at a time, and Carlo Ancelotti understands that. He understands that it's one game at a time. I mean, we were 7 wins out of 7 at the start of the season, 4 out of 4 in the Premier League, and Ancelotti come out in a press conference and said, this bubble will pop. This will come to an end. We will lose a game. We will drop points. We will have to drag ourselves through a game. It won't be always brilliant. I would say we are top 4 contenders, and I would say that off the basis of the manager we've got, the fact that he can motivate these players, even when it seems so low, and also the league this season. Southampton in and around the top 4, top of the league a week ago. West Ham in and around there as well. Only a couple of results away from being right up there. Manchester United have just jumped up to, third or second. Tottenham, it's so open this season. And that's why I'd say we are in contention in the top 4, because I think a lot of teams, I think there's probably 10 teams at the moment that could finish in the top 4 come the end of the season because it's such a mad season.
Can I say something? Ancelotti's done a lot, but at the same time, let's put some respect on what Arteta has done from when he came into a club. He came into a club that did not win, only won 1 game in 3 months. He came into that club that was absolute madness. Everything was going on. At that point, we were flying down the league table. He got us back up into a Europa League spot by winning the FA Cup. He beat Man City. He beat Chelsea. He beat Man United. He beat Liverpool. He beat all these teams, and at the same time, he got a cup out of it. Yes, we lost to Olympiacos in the Europa League, but at the same time, I felt like he did deserve a lot of respect at the back end of last season. Now, hindsight's a beautiful thing, especially also COVID happening. Immediately after him getting the job, he was one of the first people to get COVID in the English game. The game stopped because of him. He couldn't manage or do anything for 3-4 months. Like, imagine being a manager, coming into your first job, never managing before. Life came fast at Arteta. Arteta's learned 8 years of what a manager would go through in literally a span of 1 year. I feel like he's gotten a quick lesson in life about how to be a top manager. And also, he's been given a job as a coach, and he got upgraded to a manager in the summer. They sacked the CEO in what do you call it? What's his name? Don Raul. So in my opinion, he's been set up for failure. He's not been set up for any success, and any success that comes, he deserves praise. But anything negative that comes, at the same time, you can criticize him, but you also have to look at what he's been set up with. And hey,
no, I agree. I think you're spot on. There. You're right. A lot has happened in that 1 year spell. You mentioned personal life with football is something I tend to sort of take a lot of interest in, and I always sit back and I think, well, these players, these managers are human beings. Sometimes we get lost in the football emotion, and I think we subconsciously feel like footballers and managers are just robots, and they're there and they're paid to do a job. So when they don't do a job, it's like, there's something wrong with there. He needs charging, or he's malfunctioning, or what's going on. But we have to look at human beings and footballers and managers as human beings. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I remember talking about the Chelsea game. I was previewing it on our channel. And I spoke about Gylfi Sigurdsson. Now, obviously, James Rodriguez was unavailable for it, so Gylfi Sigurdsson was going to step in. We knew that was going to happen. Now, the night before the Chelsea game, Gylfi Sigurdsson and his wife, Alexandra, put a post on Instagram. Both put a post on Instagram saying that they were announcing their pregnancy. They'd become pregnant. I didn't think they had any children prior to that. And Gylfi's post, he just put a heart up with the scan, and it was brilliant. In her post, in his wife's post, she talked about how they have been unable to get pregnant, and they felt like there was a point where they believed that they wouldn't ever be able to have a baby. They tried for 4 months, and there was a lot of infertility. I think that I'm not a scientist, but there was a point where they believed, we're not going to be able to have a baby. And I said in that preview, I don't want to talk too much about Gylfi's personal life, and I don't want to say that's the reason he hasn't been playing well, but Gylfi Sigurdsson played against Chelsea like he had a massive weight off his shoulder. Personal life comes into things. Sometimes players are playing with a lot on their mind. And I know some people go, well, I'm getting paid 150 grand a week, so it doesn't matter. But it does matter. They don't choose to get paid 150 grand a week. Some fella in a football club goes, if some fella come up to me and went, here's 150 grand a week to sit in front of a computer and answer emails, I wouldn't go, no, because if I don't do my job properly, someone's going to go, you're on 150 grand a week. I'd go, nice one, fella, and I'd continue to do my job. But I'm still a human being. So if something happens in my personal life, I'm still thinking about that. That's still on my mind. And I think, like you mentioned, you're spot on about Arteta. A lot has happened to him in a year's spell that could be impacting this at the moment. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans will say, we don't want to hear that. That's not an excuse. And for some of his decision-making, it's not an excuse. But it's something to be taken into consideration.
You've got to look at Gary Neville, don't you, as well? The fact that he was like the head coach of England, then he went out to Valencia, and it didn't work out for him. It doesn't always work out when people sort of tip you to be the best manager. He walked away going, I'll never go back into that again. He went straight back onto Sky Sports. You know what I mean? So I think it's brave for Arteta to take on such a big role with Arsenal, because you know what the Arsenal fans are like around the world. You know what I mean? They want to see Arsenal get into where they want to be. Is that right, Egal?
Listen, I would say the fan base internationally might have a different emotion to the fan base over here in the UK. Like, I find a lot of the UK-based fan base are quicker to want the manager out, where I feel like internationally you're not as connected, and you won't be so used to the caravan of cycles of managers being sacked. So you might be willing to give him more time, especially depending on what your background is and how affiliated you are with the sacking and how quick people sack managers. Like, now it's become a situation where a couple of weeks ago it was 80% of the fan base was still behind Arteta, 20% were saying they want to sack. Now it's completely the other way around. I would say 80% of the fan base wants Arteta gone, and 20% are saying it's not his fault, or they're still backing him, or they still think there's something there, but it's just a complete mess, man.
What do you think going into your next games? I know we got the Carabao Cup coming up, haven't we?
Play the kids.
Haven't you, Cam?
We've got United, yeah. On
Play the
Wednesday.
kids. Play the kids. We don't need more stress. Just play the kids against Man City. We don't want to see nobody of note playing in that game. Play the kids. It's a League Cup game. If they get the result, good. If they lose, whatever. At this point, we have to put all our eggs in fixing our league form and fixing what's going on in the league and focusing on the Europa League. If we win this game in the League Cup and we go to the next round, what does it really benefit us? It just makes our schedule harder, and we already have the toughest turnaround. We're going to be playing on Tuesday against Man City. We play on Boxing Day against Chelsea, and then 2 days later we face Brighton on the 28th. So it's like in a span of, what is that, Tuesday to Monday, we literally face
6 days.
In 6 days we play 3 games. That's nuts.
Just when you mentioned there as well about the Brighton game, sorry, you mentioned the point earlier on, is what point do Arsenal fans sort of stop and think this is a real issue here? I think, look, the Chelsea game, Chelsea are a very good side. Going forward, they're a very good side. They're sort of hot and cold at the moment, but if you lose to Chelsea, you probably say it's not the worst thing. If you lose to Brighton, who are a side, again, fighting relegation and fighting to stay up in the Premier League, then I think if he's not gone by then, which he might well be gone by then, if he's not gone by then and you lose to Brighton, I think a lot of Arsenal fans will sit back and go, this is an issue.
He's not going nowhere, Cam. Cam, he could lose every single game for the rest of 2020. He's not going nowhere. That's the situation we're in. We're in a situation where they've backed him so much. They've said, even if he loses, they're going to give him until at least January. And if we don't get players in January, and they wait until the last end of January to give him his players, and we continue to lose, at that point it's become untenable. And I'm never going to turn Arteta out. I'm going to back him no matter what till the wheels fall off. But it's starting to get tough, man. It's starting to get tough. Like, you probably had managers you were backing, like Marco Silva. When did you turn on him?
It was that Norwich game, that 3-0 Norwich game, and I was one of the last. Well, not, I don't want to say one of the last ever, because I don't know every single Evertonian on the planet, but from what I gauge from people around me, I was one of the last to really go. But it was when we lost 3-0 to a side who were fighting relegation, and I thought, if we can't get ourselves up for the games that against teams that, you know, are fighting to go down, then who are we going to get ourselves up against? And
we're absolutely going to get embarrassed by Chelsea. And then we're going to lose to we lose to Brighton, and they still don't sack him. At that point, I want to see what they do in the January window. If they don't get us a player like Emmanuel Buendia or Houssam Aouar, and they end up getting us Isco, I am going to lose my mind, because I don't want another Real Madrid reject coming to Arsenal, getting 200k a week to do nothing.
Cam, do you think it's similar to what Egal's saying with Ancelotti? Do you think if things go bad for Everton, would there be a time limit for you guys to want to get a new manager in? Or do you think you're going to trust in that process, the fact that he really wants to be at the club for longer than his contract, and he's done so well so far?
I'll be trusting in the process. For me, I'm so sick. Since David Moyes obviously was at Everton for a long time, 12 years, whatever it was, most of my lifetime. I don't remember Everton before David Moyes, and I remember 2013 when he left. Now, since then, we've had Roberto Martinez, Ronald Koeman, Sam Allardyce, the less we say with the better, Marco Silva and Carlo Ancelotti. 5 managers with caretaker managers in between there. I really can't be bothered as a fan to sit here 2 years into a process, sack a manager and go back to the start of that and then say, well, this is a 4-year process, get 18 months in, sack the manager, start again. This is a 4-year, you don't go anywhere. Now, I obviously, you know, if we were in the bottom 3 with the last few games of the season, there'd be a lot of questions, there'd be conversations to had. But I look at Carlo Ancelotti and I think this man has won 3 Champions Leagues. He's won 4 of the top 5 leagues in Europe. He's won domestic competitions everywhere. He's won individual manager awards, world's best managers. Not only all of that, you can win all of that and you can have a fantastic CV. What's telling about Carlo Ancelotti is go and listen and look and read into what players who have played under Carlo Ancelotti say about him. Cristiano Ronaldo said he's the best manager he's ever worked under, best manager he's worked under. Zlatan Ibrahimovic said he could sit there and talk about Ancelotti for weeks and not get bored. Maldini speaks very, very highly of him. He's managed some of the best players in the world, and they all speak very, very highly of him. So for me, I'm trusting the process all the way. Like I said, losing 3 or 4 games on the bounce, it's not enough for me. Certainly in a league like this where you only then need to win 2 or 3 and you're right back up there. Again, we lose the next 2 or 3, we're back down there, but then we only have to win another 2 and we're back up there because it's so tight. So that's not me anyway. A lot of Everton fans will be different, but that's me.
Not for us, Cam. We win the next 2 games. we win our next 2 games. We go from 16th to 14th. No, we're 15th right now. We win our next 2 games, then we can catch up to Leeds.
Well,
yeah, it would have been awful today.
So wait. So we're right now. We're on 14 games in. We have 14 points. I looked at the expected points based on. I looked on expected points based on XG and how much points you get based on your expected goals. Right? We have 14 points. Our expected goals should be in and around 19-20. That would take us to 11th on the table. Right? So realistically, we've completely criminally been underperforming when it comes to shots made. So our clinical edge, we have not been clinical at all. Even against Everton, we had a clear-cut chance. Eddie Nketiah. All you have to do is take another touch, and he was in. He didn't need to take it first time. But what he did was he took the chance first time, he flushed his line, and he didn't even get it on target. To me, that's been happening every single game that we've been playing. It happened against Liverpool, it happened against City, it happened against all these other teams. Unless we get lucky, we don't really create enough chances for us to be missing chances. And we do create enough chances to get like even against Tottenham. We had better chances against Tottenham than we did against Everton. Where Everton beat us 2-1, Tottenham beat us 2-0. Right? So it just goes to show you when it comes to everything that's going on, there is an element of unluckiness. Like even our last game against Southampton, I don't know if you guys seen it. The dying seconds of the game, we hit the bar. Against you guys yesterday, we hit the bar. Nothing is going our way. Everything is absolutely going to the left. And with some of the fans, I'm a positive guy. You have me on here spewing garbage about my club right now. That's how it's become. That's how sad it's become, man.
So, guys, to finish off pretty much, just want to ask you, like, where do you think you'll finish at the end of the season? I know it's very difficult. We're halfway through nearly, but just as a prediction, go you can first. Where do you think Everton, in your mind, are going to finish off?
Like I said, position-wise is very difficult because obviously it's a very open league. But I'm going to say top 6. If you had to pick a specific position, I'd say 5th. But it could be anywhere between 2nd, 3rd, and 8th, 9th because of how open this league is, and it only takes a good run of form for you to be up there and a bad run of form for you to be sort of mid-table. But we're in a Carabao Cup quarter-final. We play you guys on Wednesday. Goodison Park, 2,000 fans, 2 days before Christmas. We win that game, go into a semi-final, win the Carabao Cup, which is a big ask for the club who hasn't won a trophy for so long. If we can win the Carabao Cup and finish in the top 6, then that's the best season I've had in my lifetime. And a fantastic start under Carlo Ancelotti.
What about you, Egal? Where do you think Arsenal are going to finish? Please don't say 20th, please, because you won't.
No. I'm just focused on getting 40 points. Apparently, that's what people keep telling me. People keep telling me just get 40 points and then you should be happy. But realistically, I feel like we're going to get back to the top 10. We're going to get back to the top half of the table, and we're going to be trying to get into the Europa League spots. But it's going to be really tough. Being 10 points adrift right now at this point of the season, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like Everton are on 24 points, right?
Yeah.
We are 10 points less than what Everton have right now. We're on 14. So realistically, do you see us bridging that gap anytime soon? I don't think so. That would mean they would have to lose 4 games to win 4 games on the bounce just to overtake them, which is almost impossible to happen in the
26 we're on, but they're in there a lot.
Yeah, no. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get relegated though. People saying we're going to get relegated. We're financially too big of a giant in the football game for us to get relegated. Realistically, the thing about Leeds and Norwich City and everyone back then, football was not the same. football did not have the amount of money. And you know what? Two clubs that are speaking right now, Everton and Arsenal, they've never been relegated. Where as for Manchester United, we can't speak about that. They have been. So we don't have a history.
The less said, the better.
Yeah, we got relegated by one of our own ex-players as well. That's the worst go down. He booted us out of the league. Our ex-legend. That's not good. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the worst thing ever.
Arteta's an Everton legend. He's not an Arsenal legend.
Ooh, yeah, no.
One more at Arsenal. Sorry.
Yeah, he did because Arsenal we win trophies, right?
That's right.
Quite good in the league tables, aren't they? I think it's like Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then
no salt. When was the last time Everton won a trophy?
League
I
title.
genuinely want to know.
1995. I wasn't alive. But again, Everton haven't won a trophy for 30 years, 25 years. And we're still the fourth most successful club in England. Other than United, Liverpool, Arsenal, we're more successful than Chelsea, more successful than City. Tottenham aren't even in the conversation. They haven't won a trophy, a decent trophy for about 50 years. And then all of these other clubs that seem to think they're massive, like Leicester and who else, we haven't won a trophy for that long and we're still the fourth most successful in.
You want to know something though? Chelsea and City are very close to you because if it's like you guys are like 30 something trophies, right?
Yeah, we're on 9 leagues. I think Chelsea are maybe 8.
No, I mean how many total trophies?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, to be honest.
No, because I know Arsenal's like 40 something, Chelsea's like 26, City's like 23. So if you're just going based on league titles, yeah, probably. But if you're going on total trophies, I think they've surpassed you when it comes to
total trophies, maybe, but I'm just going on league titles in terms of league.
You know, Chelsea fans, what they do, they just go based on Premier League. Nothing existed before that.
Well, that's it. Football didn't exist before Sky Sports, did it?
Yeah, it did. Anyways, what are you guys up to? Everton, do you really think you're going to get into the top 4? Like, I want to know.
It's a possibility. It certainly is. And I don't want to sit here and say yes because, you know, again, so I keep referring to this and it's a sitting on the fence mentality, but it's so tight, the league, that anything could happen. But if we carry on in the way that we've been playing, if we can keep our defensive line and our organisation as well as we have been doing in terms of stopping teams from really breaking us down. I mean, you got a penalty yesterday, which was a penalty, to be fair. And, you know, again, it was a silly challenge. But if we can stop teams from really, really creating chances, you know, even the players that we've got out injured, Luca Dean, for me, one of the best left-backs in world football. Alan didn't play yesterday. He has been vital for us over the last couple of games. He's brilliant in midfield. James Rodriguez, who creative-wise is just an absolute fantastic footballer. We're missing a lot of key players as well. So again, it's difficult. It's probably the hardest league to predict this year because of everything that's gone on and no fans in the stadiums and COVID and playing 2 games a week. It's just a mad one. What would it take for you to want a change then at Arsenal? Do you want change now? Do you want Arteta to leave now? Well, what would it take? What would be the point where you thought, no, this has gone past that point now, something needs to change? I
actually have put my neck on the line and I've said that I'm giving Arteta, even if it gets worse, I'm giving Arteta enough time to get rid of the players that are in the squad that I feel like are not good enough. Because I feel like even if you bring another manager in, he's going to try to persist with the players that are not good enough. Like if another manager was hired tomorrow, you know what first thing he would do? He would try to bring Ozil back into the team. Yeah. And in my opinion, that is just adding more problems to what we already have. Get rid of Ozil, get rid of Granit Xhaka, get rid of Mustafi, get rid of these guys, and give Arteta until next year this time, even if it means we're sitting in the lower half of the league. You know what? It might be a good thing because we can just focus on the league and we don't have to worry about the Europa League or anything else. You know how it is. When you just focus on one target, sometimes it's just easier.
Yeah, spot on.
Guys, we'll end it up there. Thank you so much for that brilliant chat there. Cam, Egal, do you want to shout out your social medias, let everyone know where they can find you?
Go on,
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at the Kitty G. Almost getting to like 2,000 followers there, and I'm on YouTube where it's the Kitty G. No, EGTV on YouTube. It's right there if you can find it, and you guys can catch me on EGTV. I always talk about Arsenal content. We got watch-alongs, previews, everything. Almost on 2,000 subscribers there too. But yeah, check us out, people.
Brilliant. Ours is the Mighty Blues on YouTube. If you type in the Mighty Blues Everton fan channel, it'll come up. At Mighty Blues YT on Twitter. Again, previews, reviews, news videos, instant match reactions, the whole works. And it's great at the moment. It's dead positive, but you only have to go back 12 months, and I'm sure you'll have a little bit of a laugh. But yeah, cheers for having me on.
Mate, no, thanks you guys for coming on. Cam, brilliant channel, and Egal, you know how I feel about your channel, mate. Much love for you starting that up. And we're Football United TV. Go check us out, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And thank you for subscribing to everybody. And we'll hopefully get you back soon, guys. Yeah?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Gang.